السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. إن شاء الله عندنا أسئلة عن الزكاة. If you have any question about Zakaah, Zakat al-Mal, Zakat al-Fitr, it's time to ask inshallah, and I will try to answer with the later on. We all know that Zakah is obligatory, one of the 5 obligations of Islam. Zakat al-Mal has a lot of rules, not all of us are aware of them. That's why you need to ask. Do not forget again, it's one of the pillars of Islam. It's your responsibility to check. It's done individually. Not like Salah, you can come to the masjid and you pray, you calculate, because you'll be questioned about that. So the question.
House, like if you own a house and you rent it out, that's number one, what's the Zakah? Because I've heard two opinions. And then also, you buy a lot and you...
As far as the house, if you own a house and you are renting it for somebody else, you're collecting money from rent. There is no two opinions as far as I know about that. There is no zakah for this house. The value of the house, the zakah that you have to pay is for the money you collect if it reaches the nisab. What is the nisab? There is a minimum amount of money. If you have this amount of money, minimum amount of money for at least 1 year, for the whole year, if you have it and keep it in position for 1 year, then you pay zakah for it. So whatever comes to you from any source, like say you work, you have a salary, whatever, as long as it's not business, different from business. Any source of income, most source of income, saving thing, you put it, and for 1 year, if you have it for 1 full year, you pay for it. So in this case, you will put the rent, say for example, you collect 1,000 every month. If you collect 1,000 every month, and you spend it in your family, there is no zakah.
So you add it to the general income.
Add it to the general income that you might have.
And then the other thing, or any lot, you buy it and you throw it away for years so that you might...
As long as he's asking the question about having a land, whatever, and you are just keeping it. You are keeping it for now. As long as you are not putting it in the market, there is no zakah for it as well. As long as you are not putting it in the market, you are just keeping it for now. Not talking about if it's cultivated, if there is cultivation in there or crops coming out. If there is crops coming out, they will fall under a different category only for the crops. But for the value of the land itself, as long as you are keeping it, no zakah for it. The zakah will come when you start putting it in the market. Say for example, you want to sell this lot right now, and you have a realtor or something, and you put it in a company, it might stay there for 2 or 3 years before it sells, especially around this time that we're having now. So you pay zakah from day one, from the time you put it in the market, on the total value. Price changes. Good question. You calculate the zakah at the date of paying the zakah. So if you are having, what is the minimum amount to start with? What is the nisab? And nisab بالذهب أو بالفضة 20 مثقال over الذهب. Let me talk in today's terms. Around 83 grams. I don't know how much it's going to be as far as ounces. 83 grams of gold, or 595 grams of silver. Usually the amount, whichever of the two will be lower. Whichever is lower. Usually the 595 grams of fidda, of silver, will be lower. I calculated a few years back, it was around $700, $800. If you calculate it by gold, it will be around 2,000 or so. It goes up and down. So if you have 700, 800 for 1 full year, then you pay for that amount. I'm just saying about the calculation 2 years ago. You make the calculation now. See how much is 595 grams of silver is worth right now, and that's the minimum. If you have that amount or up, no maximum, you pay 2.5% for everything. Coming to your question, we have different sources. Say I have gold, I have rent, collect rent from house or something. I have this, I have that. Then it goes up and down. In the middle of the year, I had total 50,000, say for example. Then close to the end of the year, they were like 60. They come down again. You pay at the very, like say for example, you decide with yourself to make it easy for yourself every Ramadan. Every last 10 nights of Ramadan, choose any certain day. sisters, if you have questions, please make sure open the curtain if you want and come and ask the question, inshallah. Or if you don't feel comfortable talking in public, ask that one sister who feels comfortable to put it, inshallah. Let me just, I'm still answering this brother here. So when it's at the last day, if you are paying at the 27th of Ramadan, look at your account at the 27th of Ramadan. Do not try to make any cheating or whatever by pulling or by spending or by getting rid of some money somehow. You are dealing with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So you look at it at the last day. Sister and then the brother here. Yes, sister.
What about your 401ks if they're invested or if they're not invested?
Whatever you cannot, usually you cannot use this money until certain age. You do not have, it's not fully your money, because when you take something out of the 401k, usually to give it back you are, I think, paying something extra, some fees or something. So, penalty, whatever you call it. That means it's not fully under your position. And one of the conditions of zakah, tamamul milk. One of the conditions of the money that you should pay zakah for is you have to have full possession of it. If you don't have full possession of it, it's not yours. So you pay for it, scholars say you pay for it when you receive it for one time. Say when you retire or whatever, you decide to take the money, you take 100,000. You pay it one time for that amount for the pastime, and then from that time on you will deal with it just like any other money, inshallah. The brother and then you, inshallah.
Say if you are a relatively rich man, you're making 200,000 a year, but at the end of the year, all you have is 500 to 5,000 left in the bank. Do you pay zakat only 5,000 after you make 200,000 a year?
Yes, you pay for whatever is there. Say for example, you live in a mansion, you live in a $50 billion house, but you live in it, you use it, no zakat for it. You are making that amount of money, but you spend it all for yourself and for your family. Not talking if this is good or bad, spending too much money for whatever needed, not talking about this, but if you spend it all, then there is no zakat for whatever you spend. The zakat is for whatever remains. Yes, the minimum that you keep should reach the nisab, which we said, I made the calculation again 2 or 3 years ago, it was around $700–800. As long as you are having $700–800 minimum, it does not go below, because if it goes below $700–800, my calculation again, I'm repeating this, you have to restart counting the year. You do not pay right away if you have the 700. It's 700, you start counting a year. And then at the end of this year, you pay for whatever amount is in there.
So you're not paying for the 200,000, you're paying for just 5,000.
For just what you have now, not for what you are getting, not for the 200,000. For your example. Yes.
Yeah, my question here, say today, 25th of Ramadan, you have $10,000 in your bank.
Okay.
Next year, same day, you have spent your salary on your family and so, So next year, same day, you have $10,000 as well, based on, your spending and however much you save. So you're going to pay zakat for $10,000?
Only for what you have at this date next year, plus all, if you have any other income, you add it to it.
So
if that's all your money that's in there, that's what you pay for.
How much you pay for $10,000, say?
It's going to be $250, 2.5%.
Two questions.
I think we don't worry, inshallah, because we might have other session, inshallah, about that. So we'll answer the question, inshallah.
What is the qiyas for other jewelry, like precious stone, and it's not being used by the family most of the year? What's the outcome?
You're talking about jewelry for women? For jewelry and gold, whatever is not being used, not even occasionally, because some gold, that's how it's used. It's used occasionally. That's still been used, even if it's used occasionally. That's been used. Is there any difference if it's used or not used? If it's not used at all, there is no disagreement among scholars. It's money that you are keeping that you have to pay zakah for. Nobody would say you cannot pay zakah for. That's if it's not being used at all, not even occasionally. What if it is used? If it is used on a daily basis, like ring, like earring, whatever, or even occasionally, then they will disagree. Should zakah be paid for it or not? If you ask me my question, I would say yes.
What is the qiyas of precious stone?
We're talking about gold and silver, diamond, and the rest of these things. It's not going to be dealt with as gold, but it will be dealt with like any other money. Okay. Now.
about paying zakah on money that someone borrowed? Like
If someone,
$10,000 to
you are creditor, you credit some money, somebody borrow money from you.
You're gonna pay zakah on that money that
Somebody borrow money from you. Two cases. If this person is able to pay it, or is admitting it, he said, yes, I owe you money and I will pay it to you, and it's scheduled somehow, or you will get it. Not necessarily when you ask, you will get it, but you will get it. You know, he's your friend, he's not saying, no, I don't owe you any money. That's one case. The other case, if somebody got the money and said, no, I don't owe you anything, or he, like you do not expect to get it for some reason. Two different cases. The first case that you expect to get it even in installments, even throughout 5-10 years, that's your money. You have to pay zakat for it. You'll get your reward from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for borrowing, for lending, somebody money. You'll get the reward for that, but it is your money even if it's under somebody, if somebody else borrows it. But if somebody got it and he's gone, you don't see him. Or you lost, same rule. If somebody say you have $10,000, then you lost them, you don't find them. Like big piece of gold or whatever. And then, say for example, this person came back after 10 years and he said, I repented to Allah and I will pay you your money back. Then you don't pay zakah for the last 10 years. You pay zakah only for one time. For one time when you get it. You don't pay zakah for the gold that was missing or the money that was missing for 5-6 years. You pay one time when you get it. If you don't get it at all times, it's not your money. It's not under your position. We allow more, inshallah, hands before we can take zakahs. Now,
It's a question but a comment at the same time, because this subject I feel a little bit sensitive about other type of question. Somebody who is making 200,000, he spent it lawfully, he bought a fancy car for 100,000, he borrowed 50,000. Now he is under minus 50,000. Based on your calculation, basically you can give him zakat. Even he's making, it's really true. For that reason, I feel there is another opinion which I strongly believe. There is حق معلوم للسائل والمحروم. In this way, actually, as Umar ibn Abdul Aziz said very clearly, no. The income minus nisab is the zakat. That's the other opinion. I just want to mention that because
clarify it to us. You're talking first. Clarify to us. What's income minus zakat?
The Umar ibn Abdul Aziz made it very clear. An income 200,000 minus nisab is, that was qualified for tax. For the zakat. Because in this way, if you calculate only what we have at the end, I'm spending 200,000, just reasonable. Vacation, fancy car, everything. Then I borrow money to buy $100,000 car. So I'm minus 50. Based on that, we are going to pay this person zakat because now he is out.
قل من حرم زينة الله التي أخرج لعباده والطيبات من الرزق. Again, if somebody could be musrif, could be exaggerating, spending, overspending, Allah will deal with him based on that. But zakah, as far as I know, is about what you have for one full year, not being used, saved somehow, not being in the market, not making, not being used somehow. But if that's a valid opinion and you read it or something, then that's individual at the end of the day. So again, it varies. Maybe somebody is living somehow, living standard somehow that he spends a lot, and it varies again. And if you open this door, many people would look at you, would look at a lot of physicians. It's for them a fancy life, and you will have to calculate this, you have to calculate this. It varies. Again, in israf, once we get to mujawazat hadd al-israf or spending or overspending, that's a different topic. But zakat has special, rules. Wallahu a'lam. If we can get two more, inshallah.
About business, how we calculate zakat al-mal from someone that has a business.
What kind of business? Like
Retail.
okay, retail business. What you have is at the end of the year, you calculate everything that you have on the shelf, for example, or something. Not talking about whatever you call it, the assets or the inventory, which means that the building, the shelves, the computers, whatever is being used in there as inventory, or some call it assets. What you have as urud al-tijara, what you offer, like say you sell, for example, drugs and these nutritions and whatever you have at the end of the year, You pay for it, inshallah.
And also drugs.
The good kind of drugs. Brothers, we are the last 10 days. Don't have food one minute. Doctor, let me...
Put the attention here.
Doctor,
Just want to reiterate what he said. It's not the matter of how much you spend. The matter is you making 200,000, you're responsible for 200,000. That's the opinion that we heard from many others. It's just he wanted to say there's another opinion.
and I said
That's what you want to say. It's not the matter, but he's given the example of spending more than what you have. But the other opinion is you make 60,000, you pay for 60,000. You make 100,000, you pay for 100.
as far as I humbly know, I have never heard of this opinion. It's not about what you make. You can make all the money, but you, say for example, you are, living standard vary. I spend 50,000. It's very good for me. You spend 200,000. She spend more or less, whatever. It's by what remains with you at the end of the day, without any cheating, without any, like you come at the end of the year and try to get rid of what's in your account somehow. You don't do that with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If there is another valid opinion, I can double check that inshallah and give to you. Or if you know about it, the doctor, as I said, it's individual, check it, and if you feel comfortable to go by, alhamdulillah. Doctor?
Two things. The one the brother is mentioning, this looks like IRS thing. We went on this before and we didn't find any dalil for that. That, well, you earn 2,000, 200,000, you pay zakat of 200,000, even you don't have it. Now my question is,
The
let's
question
say
now, can we just, so we can continue
I
inshallah?
pay zakat this Ramadan on $10,000, which
Okay.
I have it. 6 months later, I don't have anything in my bank account. And then in Ramadan, I have 20,000. So it's not a year on that $20,000. Can I wait another 6 months to pay
Okay.
zakat on that, or I have to pay in this Ramadan?
Everybody got this question? Well, he is talking about the money going up and down throughout during the year. Well, if you're talking about business, that's going to be the case all the time. It's going to go up and down, go up and down. Even for me and you and everybody, it goes up and down based on how much we spend this month or that month. If you want to go like exactly by what you have to do, you have to start a new hawl, which is a new year. Every time you, like say for example, every time you make a deposit, and now you have in bank account $20,000. So you have to calculate, start a new year from today based on $20,000. That means a year later, if you have $20,000 or more, you pay for what you have. And you calculate it in there. Say for example, then you add another deposit like a month later. It's going to be $30,000 if you deposited $10,000 more. You have to start a new hawl, a new year from the next month, and you make sure you pay for that amount next year. It's going to be much harder with those who do business. They make deposit every day, maybe even twice a day or more or less. So, if you are sure that you have the nisab, you will be having the nisab all the time, or even if it goes down like temporarily, not like going down for a long time, it goes down and you know for sure that you are receiving this deposit, especially if it's a business, then what you make it easy for yourself, you assign one day in Ramadan, for example, or at any time, and you calculate the hawl somehow. Every year you look at all what you have in your account, sources of money, and you put them all and you pay for them for one time, inshallah. What you have now at the time of paying, inshallah. We inshallah, we continue because you're taking longer. We continue maybe tomorrow, inshallah, about Zakah and Zakat will filter, inshallah.